Yeah, it really depends on the couple's individual personalities. Like, I've done this for so long, looking at divorces and marriages for 2 decades. I see it a lot differently than normal people who are not in the industry. And what I've come to see is that if two people are really going to work long term, then their personalities have to line up. And one of the biggest factors in terms of personality, you can just say, for example, is the woman's disagreeability, right? And so you'll have a lot of women who are, the boss bitch and all this and all that, and they're really hard driving in their jobs because you kind of have to be hard driving in the business world if you want to get stuff done. The issue is that the level of disagreeability that is required to succeed in the workplace sometimes can make it very difficult to negotiate a long-term relationship. And so if the woman is going to have a high level of disagreeability, that is going to cause some instability in a long-term relationship or in marriage. It might be okay if the husband's level of disagreeability is higher. What you want a gap between the husband's level of disagreeability and the wife's level, right? Now, if you start getting too high on that, then a partnership isn't going to work at all because each person is just looking out for themselves. So you want a couple, ideally, you want both parties to have a lower level of disagreeability, but you kind of want the man's disagreeability to be higher than the woman's.
Okay, so follow up. Well, it's funny, we were talking about how personalities need to mesh earlier, but disagreeability, I want to kind of stay there for a second. For a man to be disagreeable, why does that benefit a man? And what is it like? What are some other adjectives or descriptions if a woman is disagreeable? So I kind of want to unpack why it benefits a man, but why it's worse for a woman in a relationship.
It benefits a man in so many different ways.
I'm disagreeable as fuck, bro.
And that's awesome. And really, that's the way it should be. Disagreeability will protect a man. Men, a lot of times, will have this chip in them to exalt a woman, to put her on a pedestal, to call her a unicorn, and they will start making sacrifices that they would not make for anyone else. And one of these huge sacrifices can involve marriage, certainly a marriage with no prenup, and they're setting themselves up for a huge fall on the back end when they get into divorce court. And I have represented tons of men, tons of women over 20 years, and I have seen the destruction that takes place. Mm-hmm. Like, no one has seen more men break down in tears while their kids get taken away, the equity in their home gets stolen, their retirement, their pension gets stolen by these judges. They have so much to lose. Women don't have these things to lose.
Yeah, we do. Can you say that a woman doesn't have equity in the house to lose?
I can say that because I've been practicing for 20 years.
But I know, but women also can make money. Like, there could be marriages where the woman makes more money.
Listen, there are the LeBron James of women, mm-hmm. right? But I'm not talking about these special cases. I'm talking about in general. If you want to sit here and tell me that women in general lose their kids, you're crazy.
No, but
of course they don't.
It's some women do if they're like alcohol abuse.
No, not
or something.
in general.
I think what you're saying, there's exceptions and there are rules.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know if Madison was intentionally being disagreeable. Mm-hmm. Respect. Define disagreeable for women.
Yeah.
Like, I understand. I can appreciate why it is important for a man to be disagreeable. Meaning, like, if you're a nice guys finish last. Like, you kind of, like, for a man, you have to kind of go through some shit. You need to be like, It's more important for a man to say no, put his foot down, than just be a yes man to a lot of women. 100%. Thank you for kind of explaining that. For the women, why is it important to not be with a woman who's disagreeable? And define those characteristics, if you would.
For a woman?
For a woman. You said the worst thing that a woman can be is disagreeable. And that's what ruins relationships. I'm trying to understand what that is exactly.
Well, if you have a very disagreeable woman, what you'll find is that there's a lot of butting heads in the relationship. And each person kind of wants to wear the pants. And decisions, even small decisions, turn out to be huge issues that cause problems in the relationship. But even more than that, what is deadly is that the woman can take advantage of the man, and she has the state that can back her up on it, right? And so men just have so much to lose. And every now and then you'll hear a woman say, "Oh, well, women have stuff to lose too." But if you drill down on it, you'll learn that it's the vast minority of women who come out on the short end of the stick. And the women who come out on the short end of the stick so many times deserve it because they're on meth or they're on crack cocaine. You know, people will say, "Oh, well, women can lose their kids," right? Why does she lose their kids? Because she's on crack.
She's a drug addict.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so people have these types of ideas, but when you talk to an expert, you really see what the situation is. And I have seen it so many times. Now, people don't look at their relationships like this. You know, a man entering into a relationship is not going to sit back and say, "Okay, I need to give, number one, myself a personality test to see where I fall on the spectrum of agreeability. But then I need to give my woman, my girlfriend, my fiance, I need to get her to take this test too." And it's very easy because women love taking personality tests. And you need to figure out where she is. And it's super, super important because you can be in love with a woman and that woman is not fit for you for marriage.
So you're
right?
recommending that the husband give her a personality test?
Absolutely.
Okay,
and
what kind of test? Like, where do you
it's
get the
like
test?
the Big Five. So you can Google just the Big Five personality test.
Like the 5
They're
love
free.
languages? Is that different from this
That's
personality
totally
test?
different.
Okay, gotcha.
You can do it on Jordan Peterson's website.
Shout out to Jordan
Yeah.
Peterson.
I didn't know you could do it on
Okay,
his
Ross,
website.
let me turn it over to you, because you were with a girl for 10 years. You're obviously with the unicorn that you were able to capture. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But you also have a lot of friends that have been married. Some are getting divorced. We discussed that earlier. Back to this kind of binary. I know life isn't binary, right? Like Republican, Democrat, I get that. But, you know, I kind of gave the example of like boss babe, worker, like, and things that kind of accompany that versus more the housewife role, complementary. What have you seen in the relationships that work, including your own, that is more of an ideal situation for a wife and a mother?
Well, I think he said personalities.
Yeah.
So I think obviously personalities matter.
As far as like how they mesh.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But I think a couple of things. I think whether she's a boss and works or she stays at home, there is the saying like happy wife, happy life. You can't, like, if she's that type of woman, she's going to be that type of woman. So you already know that when you're dating her. And then most importantly, I would say is it's more about independence and dependence, which is, you know, everyone's either, some people are really independent. I'm assuming that women that work are more independent and want to do their own thing and have their own time and their own life and do what they want to do. Not necessarily that women that stay at home are, you know, not independent, but they're probably more dependent and have less stuff going on in their life, less travel for work and stuff with their friends and activities. And so ultimately, I think that's really important, is that if you are, as a male, are dependent and don't need your guy time and don't need to travel for work and don't want to play sports all the time and watch football all the time, and you're more dependent, you got to find someone that's going to work like that. And if you're really independent and she's not, that's where a lot of issues are going to come into play.
Gotcha. Like we have a mutual friend, the sports agent, who's traveling like crazy. He's always on the road, very independent, and his wife is also very independent. She's got her own friends, she's got her own crew. If she were very dependent on him, that could be a very major issue in the relationship. Is that kind of what you're saying with that?
I think for a lot of relationships, it ends up being about time.
Yeah.
How much time do you spend with each other, whether you're married or not? If she wants to spend a lot more time with him than he wants to spend with her, it's going to be an issue, and vice versa.
Got it. So while you said the comment, happy wife, happy life, Pearl like perked up. She's like, "Oh, let me get on this, Dad." So what is wrong with the concept of happy life, happy wife, happy life?
Because Well, one, they just hate that word, that phrase in the manosphere.
It's
That's why I started
terrible.
laughing.
Right.
But it's also because like women are emotional, or our feelings change every single day, every week, depending on where we are in our cycle. Like if the quality of the marriage is dependent on the woman's happiness, it doesn't really make sense because women feel a different way every single day.
100%. And then also implicit in that is that the man is supposed to do something to make the woman happy. So you have this type of thing where it's the man's obligation. If the man wants to be happy, then he needs to make the woman happy so that he can be happy. And this is what I was talking about with this whole, men raising up these women on pedestals and subjugating themselves, subjugating their own life, their own happiness for the happiness of another person. And so this is what you have when you have men calling women unicorns. These men are not realizing that women are not unicorns. Women are one thing. And I see it in court all the time. They are human beings. They are people that will game the system. They are people that are self-interested. And when men go around calling women unicorns, they want to take them out of the realm of being humans, right? And this is what men need to understand. And they don't ever understand that until they get into divorce court. And it's a bad divorce. Every single man that's sitting in front of a judge that's getting his kids taken away, that's getting his home equity taken away, understands that the woman on the other side that's asking for all that is a human being. She's not some mythical animal with a horn sticking out of her
Why
head.
do men get their kids taken away? Like, I've been divorced. I've got kids. Like, I don't know any of my friends who have ever had their kids taken away.
Are you saying that the vast majority of your friends have 50-50 custody of their kids?
If they want
Yeah,
that,
that's
yeah.
the California
No,
law.
no. I'm asking. You say if they want. I'm asking, are you saying that the vast majority of men have 50-50 custody of their kids?
Well, my friends, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, how many friends are we talking about?
Let's say 10.
Exactly. How many men are there in this country?
Well, right, but
No. And again, this is the same.
But what's the reason?
Well, there are a lot of reasons. The number one.
But I'm saying the judge is going to be like, look, I'm not going to give you 50-50. There's got to be a reason why they're not getting 50-50,
This is
right?
exactly why I should have 1 million subs. Because it's not your fault. It's not your fault. If you don't know, you don't know. Like there's no problem.
I just asked you the question.
And I'm explaining it,
okay.
but give me 1 second because this is very important. This is something that men need to know because there's so many men that want to have kids. There's so many men that want this legacy. And then they're surprised when they are not allowed to live in the same home with their children until their children turn 18. They're surprised when a woman can just wake up and snap her fingers and now the woman has primary physical custody of the kids. Why do women get primary physical custody of the kids? It's a number of reasons, but the number one reason is because of these judges. The laws are fashioned in a way that give judges discretion to decide who gets primary physical custody of the kids. And by and large, judges for decades have given women primary physical custody. Now,
I have a question. Do judges look at also who was already kind of the primary custodial parent, like who was taking care of the kids more?
Judges are supposed to look at everything. But what you find is that judges have mortgages, right? Judges have bills. Judges are
humans too.
Exactly.
They're not unicorn.
Exactly.
I
This is
mean,
what people
sometimes
don't
when I know, I know.
realize. That is exactly right. Judges get in this whole go along to get along. If I'm a new judge, right? I'm a new judge in the circuit and there are 4 other judges. And, I want to pay my bills like everybody else and I'm super excited to get the job. So when I get on the bench, I look around at what these other judges are doing. Oh, these other judges, they're giving mom primary physical custody. Well, I'm going to do that too. Am I going to look at 15 different factors of who did what? Yes, but at the end of the day, I'm going to ensure that my results, my verdicts, my judicial orders are in line with everybody else. And what is everybody else doing? They're giving primary physical custody to the mother.
So I want to spend actually a good amount of time on this. I want to kind of get there in a second. But to your question, you're basically saying that based on your 10 friends experience, it's typically 50-50. Is that what you're saying?
But he's saying that judges are human and that the judge makes the decision. but it's not really giving a reason as to why the judge would make that decision.
I just gave one reason. This is, I just gave one, but
what is the actual, like, just be clear, what is the typical number?
well, let me say
Like,
this.
is it, I've never been divorced, I've never have kids, but if he's saying it's closer to 50-50, you're saying it's closer to what?
nowhere near
What
50-50.
is it?
I mean, it could be 70%, 80%, depends on the jurisdiction.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's crazy to think that men get custody.
So then what was the guy supposed to do about it beforehand?
What do you mean, what's he supposed to do about it?
Like, you're saying he gets divorced,
Uh-huh,
he has children.
uh-huh,
You're saying goes to a judge, he doesn't get 50-50.
mm-hmm.
What was he supposed to do beforehand to ensure that he would get 50-50?
There's nothing he can do.
So, yeah, so that's the whole point. Like, what?
I don't know. I just find this so like absurd. So you practice in Atlanta, right?
That's exactly right.
So the rules and the laws are probably differently, and the system is probably different in every state.
It's state to state, that's true.
Yeah.
But in pretty much every state in the nation, the rules, the laws are set to where there's no preference given.
Because in California, they actually try to push the fathers to be more involved and have the kids more. And so they push to have that 50-50 custody if the
When
father...
you say they, who is they?
The system, the judge, the
So
courtroom.
you're saying that the judge
the
tries...
attorneys.
No, wait, let's be specific
Yeah.
because you're speaking in all these generalities, and I want to know specifically, when you say they are pushing men to have more time with their kids, who is they?
Court judge.
What is
That's
the
what I've been
judge?
told from attorneys.
That's what you've been told. Okay, which judge is pushing for fathers to have more time with their
so
kids?
basically what they say is that they
Who
really,
says?
like, my attorney, when I did everything.
Okay, your attorney, your
Yes.
one attorney
Well,
said...
right, but you're just one
You're
attorney.
just one attorney as well.
I mean,
Right, but I've been doing this for 20 years.
But
yeah,
the
but
other-
I'm
so
trying to-
my divorce attorney was one of the top in San Diego.
But that's what
But the
what
other
you're
point, though,
saying.
that you're saying, though, that doesn't make any sense is you're saying that the judges choose that men. Okay, we went back to disagreeability.
Mm-hmm.
What is the guy supposed to do? Like, so if Adam's gonna get married and he's gonna have children, you didn't really get to helping him. So, like, what
I mean,
is?
I think
Look at
that's
it-
why
That's what I'm trying
that's
to
why
tell
so
you.
many men are walking away from marriage today.
Exactly.
Is because it doesn't benefit
Just a
them.
bad deal is what
Yeah,
you're
it's a bad deal
You're
for
saying,
guys
how do
today.
we fix it? And this is what I'm telling you. For an individual man right now, there is no fix. Now, the
So you're
laws,
saying to not get married?
the laws are changing. In Atlanta, for example, they've just started this year pushing that to move away from the system where fathers or mothers can get custody, because what judges are doing, they're using that discretion to just basically give mothers custody. Now, Georgia is moving to a system to where the default is 50-50, and that's where we need to be. The if the judge starts out and says, okay, here's what we're going to do. You guys are going to get divorced. That's fine. 50% of the time with the mom, 50% of the time with the dad. Now, if anybody has any objection to that, I'll listen. And if anybody doesn't want that, I'll listen.
That's how
But
California is.
That's how California
Yeah,
is. We're
so
talking
that's-
about the nation. We're not cherry picking over here. This is what I'm trying to tell you. It's not, oh, my one friend this, or
But
this
you're
particular
speaking
state.
to Atlanta,
men,
right?
And women
But
are
what was-
men only
what's the
men only
other
win
question?
custody. It's like 20% of the time.
Yeah, let me get
Exactly.
this.
So
let
if
me,
you're-
the
if you're-
vast
guys, if I
majority of
may, let me get to
time-
some stats, and I want to get your opinion on this. So, we're going to cover relationships, who to date, who not to date, divorce, all that. We're all over the map here. All good. Have fun. So here's some divorce stats for you guys. Nationally, we're not cherry picking over here.
Exactly.
Here's some stats for you guys. Man versus woman. Women file for divorce 70% of the time. That goes up to 90% of the time when they're college educated. Beware those smart girls, y'all. Women get the kids 90% of the time.
This is what she doesn't
Average child
understand.
support payment is $720 a month. Alimony is around 40% of the guy's income. These are stats, and then men are way more likely to end up getting depressed, fat, alcohol, drugs, and suicidal. So back to this point that I kind of want to discuss. The divorce rate, 70% women initiate this. You said this is exactly why men are so hesitant to get married today. So is marriage an outdated deal for men? What do you think, Pearl?
I mean, I think men and women are better together, and like marriage is good as an institution. But I feel like the government ruined it. I just think it's a bad deal for men the way the laws are today.
Okay. So what should men do if they want to get married and you believe that family unit is ideal? Should men just kind of be clear-eyed going into this?
This is why I brought the attorney.
This is why you brought the attorney.
so
You can't hide behind the attorney, Pearl. You got to answer the
No,
question.
I'm saying-
you can't handle the truth.
No, I'm saying like that's why 'cause the legal. I mean, some guys do the prenup. Some guys choose to walk away. Some guys. I've heard of a guy that lives with a girl but has her pay the rent so she can't. Because I guess she can seize your assets legally if she's just living with you for a certain amount of time, and that can include like even if she leaves her stuff at your apartment.
Yeah.
And so I've heard some like guys have interesting solutions.
So is
But
marriage
let's
just a
come
bad deal for men
Well,
these days?
I mean,
Let's
it
go there.
can
Or
be,
is it
but
a
I-
bad deal for someone who makes the most money?
Well, listen,
Because
I'm
I
so-
feel like
I'm-
it's not even just men or women, it's whoever makes the most money in the relationship. It's why are we pigeonholing
That's
it to
not
men or
true.
women?
And again, the stat that you just read
Well,
about
they're not
women.
gonna- okay, if you're
let me finish,
married-
please. Let me
if
finish.
you're
Let me
married-
finish. The stat that you just read about women getting custody 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Right. And this is why it's so good to have a couple on here that, and they're both ignorant about these laws. They said, oh well, just men get custody 50% of the time too, and it's not true. If women get primary physical custody 90% of the time, that should be a stat that shocks them, right?
Do you think that they should take a 1-year-old or a baby and give the primary custody to the male, the man, the dad,
Again,
or
That's
the
actually a really
mom?
good point.
I just
Like if it's
I
a
just
newborn.
I
If
just
it's a
answered the
newborn.
question.
No, I just have that question. Do
I
you
just
think yes or
answered
no?
the question. It should be default 50-50. It's half of the man's genetics, half of the woman's genetics, half of the man's chromosomes, half of the woman's chromosomes. It's half their baby. It can't be, well, you know, we're gonna give the mom the kid until the kid's age 2, and then we're gonna introduce the dad. No, if the mom wants to breastfeed, that's fine. And the mom can breastfeed on her time and can send bottles to the.
But no
to
one's
the father.
arguing with you that it should be 50-50.
What do you mean?
You're saying it should be default
She just
50-50.
asked.
I'm just-
Your girlfriend just asked if the father should have. What did you say? If the
I'm saying that that the mother should not be the primary custody, but honestly, when
That's
it's
what she just
50-50,
said
the
that.
kids going
you're,
back
you're,
and
you're
forth.
saying that no one should say it shouldn't be 50-50,
I
and your
know.
girlfriend just
I'm
said it.
saying the primary, like with the person like the kid living with the mom. But honestly, when it's 50-50, they're not full time at anyone's house. They're bouncing back and forth.
So
And
your,
that's what the
your
California
question
state law pushes for.
Your statement said. Your statement was no one's saying that it shouldn't be 50-50, and your girlfriend just said that it shouldn't. And I agree with you. It should be 50-50. It should not be where the mother, just being a mother, gets primary physical custody of these kids.
Okay.
So I agree with you. I don't agree with her. Like, fathers should have equal right to these children.
They do,
This,
though.
Their children.
I'm
And
just
it
going off of what I know.
The stat that the man sitting next to you, Adam, told you, is that 90% of the time, women get primary physical custody of these kids.
But
I know what
imagine,
you're saying.
imagine if it was
Nah.
vice
I know,
versa.
but
Like,
I-
imagine if it was vice versa. If women only got custody 10% of the time,
I
like we
agree.
would be in uproar
But
about
Absolutely.
it.
I
But
feel
you
like
never,
it's
never hear
very-
about it because when it comes to men, like
We're
like
not
people-
looking at
people-
all the reasons though. Like there could be reasons to why that stat is.
90%
The
of
male-
the
90%?
time?
Yeah, there could be reasons to where okay,
So you
maybe
think
the
9 out of
father
10
did not want to be around. Maybe
9 out
the
of
father
10.
can't be around as
9
much.
out of 10. 9 out of
Yes.
10 of them.
Yes, 9 out of 10.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
That's what I think.
Be clear about this.
Imagine
9 out of 10 should
dating
be
a
what?
woman that
I
feels
guess I
so
want to understand
bad
this.
against
Everyone relax.
men.
I'm saying
Madison, what are you saying?
I'm saying that there's so many reasons to why this percentage could be this high.
Did you know that I just saw an article the other day that hookers are more likely to get custody of their children? Prostitutes, hookers.
Pearl, that is such a great point because
Hookers.
everybody, just like her, everybody wants to look at what the problems are, what the man are, and assume that the mother is a good mother. I have represented so many shitty mothers that still get custody of these kids. But everybody's like, oh, well, 90% of the time, the moms get custody, so there must be a reason on the dad's side. This is what you just said. No one looks at the mother's side, though, and wonders, why is it? If women are human beings too, if men can be poor fathers, then women can be poor mothers. Why is it that even with women being poor mothers, they get custody 90% of the time?
Yeah.
Right? If you sit back and think about this, it doesn't make sense. Of course there's a preference for women.
The men are getting screwed over by the system.